Everyone. Welcome to the Dex Imaging Media Center here at the world-famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway, wrapping up day 2 of the IndyCar Indianapolis Motor Speedway Rookie Orientation Program. A couple of housekeeping items before we get really into this. For those of you joining us here in person, our friend Kieran is manning a wireless microphone, so if you have a question, just raise your hand. Kieran will get that to you. And for those of you joining us virtually on Zoom, hit the virtual raise hand button and we'll make sure you're part of the Q&A and try to take as many questions for you as we can. Also, a very quick reminder, this news conference is being live streamed on IndyCar.com and IMS.com, along with the IndyCar app powered by NTT Data. So we welcome all of you watching us today from that. Currently joined by two men who are certainly no strangers to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a 10-time winner as an owner, Brickyard Weekend at the track, the owner of Hendrick Motorsports. We welcome back. Great to see you again, Rick. Rick Hendrick is here with us. And the man who has 5 of those 10 wins, now the vice chairman of Hendrick Motorsports, Jeff, welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Rick, we'll begin with you, and it's great that you were here to witness this firsthand, but to see Kyle out there completing rookie orientation, this Hendrick 1100 program is underway now. What's it feel like? What were your thoughts watching it today?
It's I guess today it was kind of a dream and a something we were going to do. Today, you just kind of officially pull the trigger and you put the rookie test and seeing the Arrow McLaren guys working and the team, the preparation, everything has been very impressive. So it's really cool to be here. I really want to thank Roger for name on the pylon there. I think that was quite an honor. I was surprised to see that, but he told me today the track was mine. So, but anyway, no, it's something that we, this is like home for Jeff, and this track's got so much history, and I never think we'd do this, but to be here today and watch it unfold is pretty special.
And that was all RP, by the way. We got the note, do something cool for Rick. So that was pretty cool to see you and get some photos of that as well. And Jeff, Kyle's been looking forward to getting in a car and really get going in this program. And I'm sure you're a little jealous, maybe looking back at your career and your feelings about the Indy 500. But to see this first step, how important was it, and how successful was it, do you think?
Yeah, hard not to really get excited for this opportunity for Kyle, and somewhere deep inside wish that I had gotten an opportunity. But I'm absolutely having a blast watching Kyle and go through this process, seeing Rick, here in Indianapolis, and a part of an IndyCar going around and, being an owner and sponsor in this event. It'll be his first time witnessing this event at the same time. So I'm so excited to see it through that lens. And as Rick mentioned, today was all about, there's been a lot of discussions. There's been a lot of planning. Today was seeing it really unfold in reality, and couldn't be more thankful of IndyCar, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, certainly Roger, and what an amazing facility this is that he has. But to go out there and see what Arrow McLaren did as well, to just get Kyle up to speed and through the test cleanly was great. And then on the other hand, it's just Kyle, watching him in his craft and his element. Like I could tell he's a little bit nervous. Heck, my palms were sweating before he got out on track myself. But then immediately you just see it click when he made those first few laps, and he just went into Kyle Larson mode of, all right, now how do I get up to speed and go fast and get, he doesn't want to just come here and compete. He wants to come here and compete competitively.
I think he was like 10 for 10 of those first phase laps. You just went right out and knocked it out. So pretty impressive. 72 total laps for Kyle today, as fast as at 217.898 miles an hour. Again, we'll open it up for questions if you have one. Well, Bruce has already got the microphone. Go ahead, Bruce.
Bruce Marr, the NBCSports.com and Forbes Sports Money. You guys are in the business of giving race fans goosebumps, but in a lot of ways, was it a goosebump moment for both of you when you saw that car coming down the front stretch at speed for the first time today?
Yes. Yeah, and it didn't really hit me until I saw him. We had the car here when we had the unveiling, but when you hear it and see it come by and he's in it, that's when it really, it was goosebumps. It was goosebumps. It was pride, happy for him because it's a bucket list for him and probably Jeff and I too. But no, it was to hear it, see it, and watch the speed when it came by. Then that brought it all to life.
I mean, for me, I come to this place, it's just so special to be here. I go back as a kid, the first time I came here, and my memories of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, my heroes, and seeing my first Indy 500 live and going through the museum. And then it just seems so surreal that here we are, having Kyle Larson and Rick and Hendrick Motorsports be a part of this effort. I mean, I think next May is just going to be, just an experience that I'll never forget. But it definitely was different walking in here today. It's one thing to be a competitor of your own. It's another thing to be supporting an effort and teaming up with a team like Arrow McLaren and just seeing, how well that they prepared for today and how smooth it went.
And also, you guys have a NASCAR Cup Series championship to contend for, this week at Las Vegas, and to be able to come here on a Thursday before heading to Las Vegas. How difficult is that from the goal at hand of trying to win the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series championship? And how much does it really emphasize how important this program is going to be?
Well, getting Mr. Hendrick here might be the toughest schedule to work around. He's a busy guy, and I think it shows you how much he cares about, this experience, supporting Kyle. And for Kyle, I mean, the guy's off racing all the time, doing, he's all over the place. So, the team is well prepared. He and Cliff, have been prepping and planning for this weekend, and they're very well prepared for this next round. Feel very good about this next round. It was this last round that was the nerve-wracking one, and we saw it all the way down to the final lap at the Roval. So, from our standpoint, we're fortunate to have enough great people and depth at our organization to be able to, prepare for what's ahead and really make sure that's the priority and the focus for the company is to go win a championship this year, get through this next playoff round and go to Phoenix, but also be up here and be able to enjoy a day like today.
Yeah. Tell you how important it is. Our president of Hendrick Motorsports is standing back there, Jeff Andrews. And when we were on the box, I asked him, we're going to win Vegas? He said, yeah. But and then Gary Davis, our COO from the automobile side here, the sponsorship. So this is a big deal for us and the company, for everybody involved, and we want to do it right. We don't want to come up here and stump our toe, and we know how hard it is. And thank goodness we're team with someone like Arrow McLaren, who when I watched the professionalism out there, just the tools and techniques that they use. So it's, this is very, very important to us because it's no different than Garage 56. When we said we were going to do that, we spent a year just whatever it took to do it. And so, although we don't have as much to do in this situation as we did in that one, but still, we want to look the part, be the part, and put our best efforts into it.
Let's go Nathan, then Eric after that. Go ahead, Nathan.
First question's for Jeff. Jeff, you were talking about having sweaty palms, just being a little nervous for Kyle and getting this whole program kicked off on track today. How are those feelings and nerves in your role now different from nerves or excitement that you would have had as a driver kind of in Kyle's shoes if you were doing something like this new?
Well, and I think some of my nervousness was in conversations with him and just thinking of myself, put myself in the driver's seat of what would I be going through right now when, this is the very first time he's ever been in an Indy car and he's going to go out there and go 220 miles per hour, only being here in a stock car before that in a simulator. So, I think Rick kind of alluded to this, but, making sure we're doing it right. And we're partnering with a great team to be able to make sure that this goes smooth and that we're aligned in a way that we can make it successful as well. And I mean, we know what Kyle's capabilities are. We've seen him drive anything and everything and succeed at it. But this is different, you know, and we're going to recognize that, and he's going to get limited number of laps and experience before, before they're ready to start qualifying and getting prepared to compete in this race. So, it's exciting on one hand and nervousness on the other, but I'm certainly going to live vicariously through Kyle a bit, through this experience, and just see how excited he is about it. And he clearly is.
Looking ahead to the coming months, you guys still have quite a while before May gets here. Does this kind of mark an end for a heightened focus on this, and you guys maybe ramp back up in the spring of next year, or what, kind of maybe take me through, if you guys know yet, the next couple steps of this process, whether it's on track testing or more sim time or anything else that might be in store for Kyle?
Yeah, I think I don't even believe that we've gotten to the point of logistics for what's going to happen next May, right? We're taking it one step at a time, and getting Kyle fitted in the car. I mean, we came up here and visited with the Arrow McLaren guys, had lunch with them, and just walked around their shop and just talked about the opportunity and the ways we can support it. It's a nice collaboration that we're going to learn from one another, from what they do in IndyCar and what we do in NASCAR. So this was certainly an important step, and we mainly were praying for good weather, and we got that perfect weather, as a matter of fact. And then I haven't even had a chance to download with Kyle of just getting him in the car, but it's nice to see that first run and him click off those laps and get through phase one as quickly as he did. And once he did that, I was like, okay, I think we're on our way here to a smooth day.
It was Chamber of Commerce weather today
Yes,
at
it
the
was.
Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Obviously, also joining us this afternoon, the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion, and this coming May will obviously drive the number 17 HendrickCars.com Chevrolet for Arrow McLaren and Hendrick Motorsports. Welcome back. Congratulations on ROP today, Kyle Larson. And to the far right, the newly named sporting director for Arrow McLaren, the 2013 winner of the Indianapolis 500, presented by Gamebridge. It's Tony Kanaan. Kyle, obviously a big step today. How do you sum it up?
Yeah, it was fun. It was, I guess, mostly what I anticipated in a way. The speed and the grip didn't feel, thankfully, scarier than what I thought it might. But there was like just how much the car wants to pull left, and you have to kind of fight it back to the right down the straightaways, and all that was something I didn't expect. The weight of the wheel was a lot lighter than the simulator, but still a little heavier than what maybe I expected. But other than that, I thought it went really smooth. I think more the pit road side of things is where you have to work more on. Just the steering is so slow. You have to turn so far to get in and out. If you're coming in around somebody, if you're leaving, getting out around someone, just getting used to the steering at the slower speeds, I think will be something to get used to. And then just maximizing, like the apron and braking for pit road, stuff like that, I think is stuff I'll have to really focus on and work on, and that way you're maximizing potential. But overall, it was a great day. Felt like everybody at McLaren did a really good job prepping me, to make things easier to get up to speed. So thanks everybody there, and glad to be through today, and look forward to the open test April.
On to the next step for sure. And Tony, you've been with Kyle almost every step of the way during this journey so far. How do you do?
I mean, it makes my life easier when you have a superstar, so he makes me look good. But yeah, I woke up this morning, I was actually nervous. I didn't know why. I'm like, there's no reason for me to be. But I mean, yeah, it was an awesome day. I think the good thing is, Kyle and I were teammates back in the day. We won the 24 hours of Daytona together, so we knew each other. We fit in each other's seat. I mean, it was seamless. I think we did what we were supposed to do today. It was a lot of information that I was trying to filter and tell people to stop talking to him about, but he doesn't have to worry about that. And let's come back here in April and get on.
Tony, you're the first guy I've ever met that can fit in Kyle's seat. So that's the most impressive thing you said so far.
Again, open it up for questions. I realize obviously a lot of questions for Kyle. If you have one though for Mr. H or Jeff, before we cut them loose, we prefer that first. So Nathan, back to you. Go ahead.
I have a couple for Kyle.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Kyle, first question, you mentioned you're still feel like you're working on some things on pit lane. There toward the end of your last session when you stalled it a couple times, what happened there and what were you dealing with, and either mixed up for you or what went wrong in the car?
Yeah, so I didn't know what was going on. I didn't think I was doing anything different leaving, but I think when I hit the first gear shifter on the way by, because the pit road speed limit, pit road whatever deal is on the back of the wheel, so I think I hit that also and turned that off. So then it was doing some anti-stall things, so it wouldn't let me go. But see, I think
He did not stall, by the way.
yeah, he just wouldn't go. But no, so I think those are like little things that I need to maybe adjust on the wheel as well. So I'm glad that I did that today, because we'll probably move that button to the front of the wheel so I don't make that mistake again. And yeah, I think other than that, it went smooth.
And I think you went, especially through phase 2, like 15 for 15 on hitting the laps in the 5 mile an hour range that you're supposed to be in. Phase 1 were a little bit up and down. I think you even had one lap that was over that 210 mark. What was the difference in your comfort going through phase 1 through phase 2, where it certainly looked like from the numbers that you were a lot more comfortable?
Well, when you're running more throttle, it's easier to kind of hit your target. So the slower the speed, it was just kind of hard for me to like figure out my timing. Like I would roll out down the straightaway and then I'd run wide open through 1 or 2 and feel like I'd look at my dash, be like, okay, I think I'm okay for 3 and 4 to run some throttle. Then I come off 4, I'm like, oh, I'm too fast and having to slow down a lot. And then vice versa, then I'm like trying to play catch up on other laps and like barely getting by. So yeah, once you went faster, you're just running more throttle. It's easier to kind of stay within that window.
Eric.
Yeah, Rick, I'm just curious. Once upon a time, a lot of Hendrick Motorsport drivers didn't race outside of the Cup Series, and you've kind of had a change of philosophy these last few years. I'm just curious your thoughts behind that and how it keeps somebody like Kyle, and I'm talking to him, keeps him sharp running extra races outside of a Cup car. Just curious between your mindset there.
Yeah. Excuse me. We always did not want them in anything other than, Cup car or Xfinity car. And when I first started talking to Kyle, and he convinced me that it made him sharper. And then the first one of the shows I watched, they had a clip on Kyle Larson crashes. So I called him and he said, you weren't supposed to see that. And I said, well, no, I think it does make our guys, helps them. I know William has followed in his steps and run other cars and Chase too. And Alex got hurt. Now this year's a pretty bad example. Alex gets hurt in the car. He's done racing those cars. And, then you get Chase gets hurt on a snowboard. So, they've got to have a life. And Jeff and I've talked about it. And I think it does make him sharper to get in other things and drive them. I know one thing, he would be hard to handle if he wasn't in those kind of cars. I'd have more problems with him, I think.
I might be skiing or snowboarding more often.
Thank you. And Kyle, just one for you. Congrats on your championship this week, by the way. Just curious, you mentioned in May about how much this meant to your dad. Have you talked to him, before like last night or this morning about this test?
So they were here this week, and I was surprised when they weren't sticking around for today. They had to get home to California, but so I was surprised, that they go to so many of my things, and knowing how big this was, I thought they had to get home because their dog was, my aunt was watching the dog and she's going to Hawaii, so they had to get back to get the dog. But if not for that, they would have been here. But no, I'm sure I'll get to talk to him. I'll see them. I don't know if I'll see them this week in Vegas, but I'll call on the phone and talk to them. And it's going to be really exciting. I think next year when April and May comes around, because it's going to be real then, and race time, getting ready for the race then. So, but yeah, this is such a huge race to myself and my family and so many people that I'm just glad I get to do it.
Chris, and then the gentleman in the back. Go ahead.
for Rick and Jeff. Once y'all conduct the post-mortem of this next year, next June, July, whenever it is, if everything goes well from a commercial standpoint, competition standpoint, everything else, could we see Hendrick Motorsports expand their involvement in IndyCar racing or even just outside of NASCAR overall?
You know, I've learned not to commit or not commit or say I'm not going to do anything, because I made a statement I wouldn't run Indy, and 30 days later I had to back it up and say I am going to do that. You know, I think as opportunities present themselves, we kind of look at them, and Jeff and I talk about it a lot, and with all of our other teammates back at Motorsports. So we have, you know, we like to race. We enjoyed the IMSA racing. We enjoyed Garage 56. I wish we had more places to run that car. And but you know, our main goal is to win championships in NASCAR. And but I've learned never say never, because he's got a lot more gas in his tank than I do in mine. So, but we're always looking at options. So.
And Kyle, what's the best piece of advice you've been given about racing in the Indy 500, and who gave you that advice?
I mean, a lot of people have said the same thing, you know, like just trusting your instinct. Like if something doesn't feel right, at least during, you know, practicing and testing the couple weeks leading in, like if you've got plenty of time, so just, you know, if something doesn't feel right, just pit. And I think, you know, me even just feeling the car today, like it feels so stuck that I can tell where your confidence could get too high, and then you're backed in the wall, you know, the next corner. So I think if you feel something, just pit. And I mean, Tony told me that. Danica was texting me last night, same thing. So Kurt, Jimmy, they've all said the same thing. So I've got a lot of people I can talk to, and I'm sure I'm going to be able to soak in more and more information now that, you know, I got to drive the car once.
Jeff, you alluded to at the beginning of the press conference being that kid from Pittsburgh, Indiana, that grew up just outside the racetrack, about dreaming of coming to this venue. Now, having your hands so deep within this program, trying to set this up and get this done, just kind of talk about what it means to you personally, being that kid from Indiana with aspirations to come here and compete, now to see this program finally hit the track now.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, my dreams came true with the inaugural Brickyard 400, right? And racing here in a stock car. Of course, I wanted to race here in an Indy car, you know, early on, but the opportunity just was really never there. And so when Kyle came on board, he made it clear, you know, that this is something he'd like to do, and he'd like to do it before, you know, he feels like he's outside of his prime, I guess is the best way to put it. So, you know, I got excited about that. I didn't know how Mr. Hendrick was going to feel about that, but you know, I think between Kyle and myself and you know, just the history of this place, it eventually kind of came together. But yeah, this is definitely going to be living out a dream of mine, you know, through this experience, and I'm equally as excited to be a part of it in the capacity that I am, and you know, see it and hear about it through Kyle's eyes and experience. And you know, we want to come here and make a mark. We also know this is one of the most competitive forms of motorsports and race in the world, and it's not going to be easy.
And then for Larson, every time NASCAR comes here, we always hear the drivers talk about the appreciation they have for this track with the history, just being able to compete here. Now that you've taken that first step towards May, do you find yourself already having a new appreciation for this venue, now having competed in an Indy car, getting ready to compete for that race that everybody always appreciates?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know if my views of this place have changed. I really love this facility. I think every time I come in, I realize more and more this is the most beautiful racing facility that we get the, you know, honor to go to. And I think, you know, Mr. Penske's done a great job with it since he's taken over. So yeah, I mean, obviously getting to turn laps around here in an Indy car and getting to like feel what that feels like, it makes it even more special. And, you know, I've gotten the chance to race here on the dirt track. I've ran the road course, the oval. We get to thankfully come back on the oval in the cup car. So this place is just awesome. You know, golf course is amazing too. Love playing golf here. So It doesn't get much better than this place.
Kyle, you talk about your appreciation for this place here, IMS. I want to ask you, just how special was it for you when you actually hit the track in IndyCar out there doing those laps? How special was it for you?
Yeah, it was really cool. And I don't know, I wanted to get up to speed. I didn't want to take too long to get up to the 205 mark, because I didn't want to get made fun of, like, oh, why did it take you so long? So I did put pressure on myself to, like, man, get your confidence built up here pretty quickly. And thankfully after like 3 or 4 laps, when I was able to judge off the tack, I was like, okay, we're within that, because the ROP is nice, because I was not ready to go flat for a while, but building up to that speed and pace and confidence was nice to do in the ROP. But yeah, just getting to feel what an IndyCar feels like, be low to the ground, feel the acceleration through the gears was pretty crazy. All of that was eye-opening and an experience that, I know for sure I'll never forget. And now I look forward to, kind of getting around cars and feeling how, the dirty air affects things.
Let's go Brad Brown, and then we'll take one off Zoom. I know Bob Pockross. Stand by, Bob. We'll get to you in here in a second. Go ahead, Brad.
Kind of for Jeff and Kyle. Jeff, what impresses you most about Kyle's ability to get in anything and go quickly? And then Kyle, Jeff talked about Kyle Larson mode and how it clicks. Where does that come from, and how is that developed?
Well, of course, I followed Kyle's career from when he was first getting into sprint cars. So, the first time you watch him behind the wheel of a race car, it's hard not to be impressed with the talent and his abilities. I only got to race against him maybe a couple of years there in the Cup Series, but having him now at Hendrick, now I see how serious he takes it. And you heard here, he's a humble guy as well. That usually those two things, talent and confidence and humble, usually don't come in one package. So, I've just gained a great appreciation for him. We're certainly fortunate to have him at Hendrick as one of our drivers. And I think, Errol McLaren and this whole team is going to feel the same way about having him in an IndyCar.
And then I don't know what Kyle Larson mode is. So I feel like Kyle Larson mode is a lot of overdriving and a lot of mistakes, but I don't know. I'm just fortunate I get to drive really good race cars in all forms of racing that I compete in, with great crew chiefs, car owners, Rick Hendrick. His equipment is as good as it gets. Cliff Daniels is the best crew chief, in my opinion, in the Cup Series. Sprint car stuff, Paul Silva is the best team owner, greatest crew chief in sprint car racing. Dirt lane models, even around for Kevin Rumley, like, top of his game, if not the best, considered the best. So I'm just fortunate that I get to be around great car owners, Aaron McLaren and all the people that they have around them. So yeah, I'm just very lucky that, I get to be driving these cars. Obviously it takes a lot of hard work on my part and on all that to get to that point, but still, I'm very fortunate to be in the position that I am in all different types of racing.
Let's take one offline. Bob Pockross, go ahead.
Yeah, for Kyle, I'm going to assume that's the fastest you've ever been in a race car. And if I just wanted to confirm that. And also, was there any difference in the sensation of speed in this car versus other cars you've driven?
Yeah, I think I remember testing Michigan, maybe in an ARCA car, like right after they repaved it. And that's back when ARCA had the big horsepower and stuff. I think we went like 220 something into turn 1 at Michigan. So I think we were about that today in the IndyCar. I would say both, because you're running by yourself. So like both times it didn't feel like 220 on paper is like crazy fast. And obviously it is, but like when you're out there by yourself and this track is so smooth, it doesn't feel like you're going 220, or it doesn't feel any different than going like 195 at Daytona or something. So I did look at the wall one time thinking like, man, that would really hurt if I hit it. So things are obviously happening quickly. but yeah, I think when you get around cars and you get passing, these Indy cars make such big runs, because the toe is so big. And I think when people are, blowing by you so fast on the straightaway, or you're doing the same with the toe that you get, I think that's when the sensation, I don't know, Tony can probably speak on it, but I think the sensation is probably more when you're around other cars. And probably too, when you go into qualifying trim, I think that's when it's going to be crazy. I think going another 20 mph faster is probably from 220 to 240 plus is probably a big difference in sensation. So I'll get to experience that next year.
Tony, you want to chime in on that?
It feels fast when you see the wall coming and it's not going to stop.
Yeah.
So that's how you know how fast you're going. Everything else, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a unique place. It's definitely like Kyle said, I think you put 33 cars around and 20 laps to go. I think the cessation of speed and the dynamic of the race changes. So that's something that you will experience as well.
We have time for 3 more before we wrap up. David Land, go ahead, and then Kurt, and then Bruce. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, a couple for Tony. First one, Tony, what's your evaluation of Kyle Larson, the IndyCar driver? And second of all, you fit in his seat. Does that mean when it rains at lap 80, you're the relief driver?
I don't think Kyle Larson needs evaluation as an IndyCar driver. He's a complete race car driver. It's probably, out of his generation, the best I've seen. I've tasted a little bit what these guys do, like he does, trying different cars lately. And I know how much I struggle, and he wins and everything. So I don't think he's just one of the best race car drivers in the world right now. And I'm very fortunate to actually get the chance to work with him. And if I can contribute it, that would be when we win this one, I'll still get a ring, so I can say I have 2 500s instead of 1. So, and the other question is, if it rains at lap 80, Mr. Hendrick either let me drive the car or not. My helmet and suit will be in the truck, but hopefully it won't happen, and Kyle will get to enjoy the whole thing. I've had pretty good runs here. I love this place. Although nobody believes me, I'm good. I was good with my decision this year. So
for Kyle, we've heard so much about the development of the Gen 7 Cup car, the similarities to an Indy car. Did you notice any similarities between an Indy car and the Gen 7 car?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, you're processing a lot while you're out there, and you're by yourself. I think there was times when I got, a lot of wheel in it, and I would say yes, like the steering is quick until you get to a point, and then it's, not dead, but like you can keep turning and it's not as obviously as effective. But so that maybe in a way, I could tell some similarities. I think from talking to people, I think where it's become more similar is just the aero balance shift between clean air and traffic. I think and that's obviously not something I got to experience today because I was just by myself. But yeah, I think as I get to being around cars, I think the difference in balance is where it's probably gotten a lot closer. I think the style of our racing is trended more to them. Where now maybe not every weekend, but a lot of places, especially like Daytona, Talladega, Atlanta, you're saving fuel to have a shorter pit stop and kind of get track position that way, where it sounds like I think that's what IndyCar guys do a lot. So just the overall strategy of the race, I think, is trended more like IndyCar, and then I think the cars in traffic has as well.
And for Mr. H, real quick, we saw Will Power give you a helmet. Could you just comment on that situation and that story?
Yeah, Will, his wife was real ill in Charlotte, and she was going the wrong way, and he called and we got her moved into another hospital and had some of the doctors join in, and she came out of it. I was surprised to get the helmet, but I was more than happy to help them through that difficult time, and I'm glad she's okay. But the helmet was a real surprise and a real gift. I told him I love trophies and helmets, and he said this one hadn't won a race this year, but I did wear it in the Indy 500. So I said, that's good enough. But that was a great gift.
That's awesome.
Kurt?
Jeff, I think under normal circumstances, when you're helping a younger driver for a day like today, you might have something really insightful to say and experience, but I suspect you didn't have as much today. What did you have to say to him? I mean, you've not driven one of these cars. You've not experienced like his. What'd you have to say to him?
No, I'm looking forward to downloading with him a little bit further, just about the process and what does that grip, feel like the first time going in the corner, cold tires on the apron, more just race chat stuff. But, I've gotten pretty comfortable in the new role that I'm in that being a race car driver and not being in the current cars and in the competition that they're currently in. My input is more of what can we do to make the race team stronger and better, the communication, the people that around them, the tools, and just provide the resources. I mean, that's what Rick taught me in his role as an owner, and that's what I want to be there for. So I'm probably more focused right now on looking at the car and how do we position the logos and the sponsorship, and we're capturing it all and to create some content. What can we do with that? So when me and Kyle talk, we talk, how was your last sprint car race, and about the experience today, and then we'll do the same when we get to Las Vegas to talk about the Cup car this weekend.
It's a different Jeff for sure. Tony, you talked about shutting down some of the chatter around Kyle. From an IndyCar's perspective, what were they trying to feed him that maybe he's not ready for yet?
Well, think about, you have a wheel with 25 buttons, then you have the weight jacker, then you have front bar and rear bar, then you have telemetry that you can analyze, then you have, and engineers, they're just trying to give you all that, which it's way too much information. And I know for a fact, because in the past 3 years, since Jimmy and I got together to do what we did here in IndyCar, I started racing other series. And every weekend I had to reset my head, different wheel, different car. So especially him, he just raced 2 nights ago, won the championship. And then he comes here and you get a thing like, it's too much of overthinking, right? Like, and then you're like, why are we going to feed him all that right now? We're going to come back here next April. We're not going to remember that. It's just too long. He has a championship to win, and that. So I was like, I let him talk. Then he went to change. I went in the driver's lounge. It's just, don't worry about it. Just enjoy the racetrack. I didn't want him to miss the first moment because I think it's extremely special. I remember my first time here, but also he was here to pass ROP. The wheel, we have 6 months to figure out. We'll talk now that he physically saw it as a driver. We probably understand each other a lot more than just the engineer trying to give you the data. The picture of the wheel is just like, go feel the buttons. I said, hey, do you want the speed limit back here? Yeah, it's okay. Well, now it's not okay anymore. So it's like, you had to experience. So that's why I was trying to tell them, just let him enjoy the day. Now we'll start working.
Bruce, and then we'll wrap it up with Nathan. Go ahead, Bruce.
Kyle, did it feel natural to you out there at that speed in this car?
Yeah. I didn't. It was harder to go slow. Like I said earlier, like it was hard to get yourself to run 205. So I felt like I was happy with that, because I felt like it felt fairly comfortable. So, like I said, it honestly, for the most part, was everything I kind of expected. I watched a lot of onboard video and all that. We got to work on my line a little bit today. But yeah, it felt, nothing jumped out like it was too much of a surprise. So I was happy about that.
And the last time the Brickyard 400 went around the oval here was 2020. So it's been a few years. The late John Andretti used to say the comparison between the two cars, it almost doesn't even look like the same racetrack. Did you get that sensation?
I don't know. The stock car stuff and the track conditions were really good, obviously, today, but the stock car stuff is just like slow, and like I just remember being like really tight, through 1, like you're off the gas a lot, and 2 would be tight. 3 and 4 would have a better balance. But like in the IndyCar, I think because the track was really good. You have, more downforce probably than what we're going to have come back. All of that, obviously way more downforce and speed than a cup car, but like the balance of all four corners felt way more similar than the stock car. So that's nice, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, overall, like width and stuff of the track didn't feel way different than what I remembered it being.
And for Mr. H, you've got every type of racing trophy you can get in NASCAR, from NASCAR Cup Series championships, 10 Brickyard 400 victories, countless Daytona 500 wins. Where would you put a baby Borg?
That would go right in the middle. I mean, that would be something pretty special. Well, I don't even let myself go there. Think about that. First, I want to make the race. It would be just to say you could win this race, could win it, would win it. You might build a building off of that, just that trophy and the car, because it'd be that special. I wouldn't do that. I'm not going to build a building.
Don't say things that you're going to pull back later.
Nathan Reposa.
Or Kyle and or Tony, I don't know if you both want to chime in on this. Looking ahead to these next 5-6 months, as we maybe the next thing on track is the open test. Are there plans to do any other oval running, or is the next on track plan the open test and the start of practice in May? And what will you guys focus on or do or work on in the next 5-6 months between now and then?
I just learned there was an open test like yesterday. So I don't know what other plans there are, at least for me in the car before then.
Mr. Sporting Director.
We have plans. That's all I'm going to say. No, we have plans. We'll obviously there's a lot of things that we're going to talk about. Hopefully get him on track before that open test again. Not finalized yet, but give him as much time as he can to feel comfortable, and I'm confident that we will. So,
thanks.
And we will leave it there. Another step towards the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500 presented by Gamebridge. More importantly for this group, the countdown towards the Hendrick 1100. Thanks so much for your time, guys. Congratulations on a great day here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Thanks, everyone.